Hi, I'm at present back down at the Cairn area. At the back of me is the old sling tree that I mentioned before. I'm roughly about here. Now this was all before it was all done like this. This is what it looks like now. Houses in the background, a nice walking area if you take the dog or whatever. But in my day it wasn't there. All down here it was all grazing. Along here was a sort of rising bank with trees in it every so far along. That's where those white houses are over there. That's Lomond Drive area. In my day there were no houses here whatsoever, but roughly along here, this is where the old farmer Steele, grew all his crops. I've sort of jotted it down, as you can see: potatoes, cabbage, turnip, potatoes, that sort of stuff. This was all grown in this area here before those houses and this swing park was built. So it gives you an idea of what it was like. Over there in the trees, as I said before, we could stand here and look over and we could see the banks of the Cairn here. As I mentioned before, this was a dump right opposite where Langley's is at the moment. This is where we used to go at weekends when there were no watchy. We used to come down from this area here. There was a kind of rising bank there with a slope, and there were a lot of weeds sort of thing, marshland in there where we used to get the frogs and frog spawn, that sort of stuff. Straight across was Kennedy's piggery. We used to go on the wee road along to this cottage here. As I said before, an old woman and I believe it was her son stayed together. What she did, she grew an awful lot of what do you call it, to rhubarb there. And every time we went down there, we used to say, "Hello Granny, how are you? Come on, get some rhubarb for your mammy for her jam." And she always used to give us loads of rhubarb to take home. Never forget that. From that wee cottage, there used to be a wee path, which would be now at the back of the trees somewhere. I say there's a wee path, and there was a wee concrete bridge with a wee sort of stream going underneath it. And we used to get wee minnows there. And right next to it, there was a big pump house. Well, behind those trees, you will see a pump house. It's not the same as the one I can remember. Obviously, it's been modified and so on. But that's where we used to go. And as I said, this was a dump. We always used to go there, usually on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday when the tide was down. Because we can't, there were no watchy in there, so we'd come across the field here, walk across, and roughly about here, across for the dump, in there was the shallowest bit of the Cairn. When the tide was down, very well, it was about ankle deep. You could go right across and then we'd play in the dump or whatever. Of course, at that time, we used to look for old drums and so on, because we had the Cairn here and we made rafts. Usually got about 4 empty drums, 5-gallon drums, I think you know what I mean. If they were empty and they weren't leaking, we'd strap them on some wood with rope and whatnot. Then a couple of us would use it as a sort of raft going up and down the Cairn. We'd done that for years. But the main thing was we went over to the dump to see if we could get any pram wheels. And that was so we could make wee bogies. We all had bogies in these days. But as I can remember all this, as I say, this was Steele's farm. We were only young, money was tight, so was food actually. And the farmer knew that. He used to come over when we were going round the Cairn, and we used to say, "Can we get some tatties for our mother?" and he'd come out, get out his tractor and he'd come out and say, listen, I'm telling everyone is, I don't mind you taking some tatties, as long as you stay at the beginning of the drills, then you start going over more drills. If there's a drill being opened along the front, take some tatties, and I didn't mean a load, just take enough for your dinners, get to your mo, get a cabbage, some cauliflower, or turnip or whatever. And that's what we used to do. In exchange, we used to look after his field in a way, because other people would come and they'd be in the middle of his drills. He didn't like that. So he said, if he sees anything like that, come and tell us. And over here, he had a wee farm road there, that's where he lived at the time. Well, Langley's has all been built, as you can see. That's Lomond Drive over there. I stay up the top way now, at the end of the flats, and the end of Horse. I stay over there now. So it gives you an idea what it used to be like all years gone by. Most of my mates that we used to be with, they're all passed on now, but the memories are still there. Well, that's what we used to do in the old days. Never forget it. Bye.